breath. Peggy, go ahead and mute yourself unless you need to say something, then unmute yourself. Only because every time you move, it'll be a really loud noise in the house.
I don't know how to do that.
And Bruce is ill.
You don't mean Mark. You mean
Mark.
Mark who?
Mark Schulenberg? Or Schulter?
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Michael.
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 Not Mark.
Yes.
Sorry.
Michael is where?
Michael, he's got a problem with the building he manages. So
Oh, okay, fine.
Oh,
But we're recording, right? Okay, great. All right, so let's take a deep breath. So I'm going to invite you to just be quiet for a moment. Just allow yourself to decompress. To empty your mind of the thoughts that are still stuck there from the day. And to do that, I invite you to become very aware of your breathing, and very aware of your body. Consciously be willing to feel the parts of your body, just consciously, mentally. What do your hands feel like? What do your feet feel like on the ground? Still staying conscious of your breathing. So in this quiet, I've been working with these 5 questions that we used at our last retreat. So I'm just going to invite you to hear the question and let it just be a part of your consciousness. And the first question is very simple. Why am I here? Why am I here? And as you consciously focus on your breath, allow for that voice, that still voice, that voice that knows, that inner wisdom, that truth, that oneness, that largeness of life. As you concentrate on your breathing, allow it to know what it needs to know. Why am I here? And so in this moment of questions and answers, and in this moment of understanding the oneness, the largeness, the infinite source and resource that there is, what I know is that each person in this room is always divinely guided to be exactly where he or she needs to be exactly in that perfect place, that perfect location, that perfect relationship that brings forth the highest and the best. And so the second question of what wants me to release it? What wants me to release it? What in my life am I ready to let go of? Again, I invite you to let that question be answered all of its own accord. And as that question percolates, the next question is, what wants to know me? What wants to know me right here, right now, in this room tonight, in this space, in this classroom, in these words of Dr. Ernest Holmes, in this philosophy of life that we study, what wants to know me? What idea, what piece of information wants to literally expand my consciousness? For as important as it is to release, that importance is also part of what we do when we listen and allow something to know itself through us. And so in this thing that we call this Wednesday night class, there is this energy, this intelligence, this divine passion and fun that percolates and comes forward as we move through this time we spend here this evening. And so the question, what is mine to be in this world, comes forward. And as I contemplate that idea, what is mine to be in this world? I recognize that what is mine to be is right here, right now, fully present. For I am in this room right now, listening, thinking, knowing, allowing, receiving. So I take another deep breath and release it. And I know that this class tonight, this class opens each one of us up, gives each one of us the ability to sit in our true authentic selves, hear what we need to hear, know what we need to know, be who we need to be, and allow everything that is ours to receive to be received. And I am so grateful to know this, so grateful to be a part of this, so grateful for this journey. And so I just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I release it. I get out of the way of everything that comes forward, and just allow it to be its most magnificent self through me and as me. And so I just let it be so. As together we all say, and so it is. So you can open your eyes when you're ready, when you want to come back. If you want to come back. Thank you. So the first thing I wanted to do tonight was just ask for questions. Ask you, is there anything that we have covered up to this point that you have questions about? I mean, this is week 7. Can you believe it? This is the 7th week. It almost doesn't seem possible. I feel like I just started it. So, is there anything? Any questions? Yes, Gary.
You made a comment one day and it's bothered me ever since. So I just
One? Only one?
And so I just want you to clarify the triune nature versus the creative process. You said don't get them mixed up. And
Well, actually, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I mean, that's what we're...
That was the whole thing.
Yeah. Are you getting me sideways the whole night?
Yes.
Okay, that's not good then. Just move the camera that way. Yeah. So I'll clear that up. Very easy. Actually, I'll clear it up right now. So this is the triune nature, spirit, soul, body. And this is the creative process. They just happen to be on the board. So this is the creative process, conscious mind, subjective mind, form. Now, spirit, soul, body is more the concept of how we work. And that's what we're talking about tonight, spirit, soul, body. So these are, what is spirit, what is soul, what is body? We're going to break this up tonight. Once we understand this, we actually then understand how the creative process works through this. See the difference? So that's the triune nature. This is the creative process. Way too often, people are asked in their tests, when they take their test for practitioner or ministerial, they will literally not know the difference between these two. And that's a problem. Because if you don't, then you don't understand the philosophy at a kind of primal level. Yeah.
And then in Christianity, this is what we're talking about all the time, the spiritual body.
In Christianity, you're talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father, Spirit, the Son, the body, that which manifests from the Father, and the Holy Spirit, which is that within us that is constantly creating. We don't ever really use that very often, though, just to be clear.
Okay, I have
Because-
a question.
Okay.
Okay. Ernest Holmes goes spirit and then soul and then body. But then when you
Say
hear-
body again.
Just because we love
It almost sounded like you said body. Ernest Holmes says spirit, soul, and body. No, it's good. You did.
But on earth, you hear people going body, mind, and spirit, like they flip flop.
They do body-mind connection. I don't know if they do body-mind spirit.
I was just wondering if that's why we're all so fucked up. We go back.
No, I think there are many reasons why we're so fucked up, and we can get into those tonight too. But what they're mostly talking about is body-mind connection, the body and the mind connection, and that really means this is the mind here, and that's the body, the 19. Body-mind connection. It's okay. It's the connection of the two. Makes
Except
sense?
they leave the middle part out.
No. I just said the mind is really, it's going to be a lot of fun with all this here. The mind is really this. Conscious mind, subjective mind, right? And we're going to actually talk about that tonight. That there are not two minds, it's really one mind. Okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is spirit, obviously. First of all, how did you guys like these 3 chapters?
I like that.
I like one of the 3.
One out of 3 isn't bad. Which one?
That's the one that I read.
I thought you were saying I didn't like it. I like that. Which one did you read? That would be spirit, because that's at the top.
That's the one.
That's interesting because who? Okay, so if I was going to ask you which your favorite chapter, spirit, soul, body, there's a spirit because it's the only one you read. Because I have a favorite of the 3.
Well, I kind of like mine because I kind of started getting it.
Mind.
Yeah,
Which one's that?
the middle one.
Which is what?
Body,
No.
soul.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Sharon, do you have a favorite?
No, I don't.
Okay. Alan. No. Well, Laura.
So,
Okay. Archie.
So,
David.
I liked all 3 actually.
Okay. Becky.
I like spirit and soul. I
Okay.
have an issue with body.
Okay. Body issues we'll deal with that now. Gary.
More so, I think.
Okay.
All 3.
Okay. Becky.
Haven't really decided a favorite.
Okay. What do you think, Peggy? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how to. You guys muted me, so I don't know.
Okay, she's got you. Did you have
Okay. I liked them all.
Okay.
Pretty much a beer hug.
The reason why I asked that is because it points me in a direction. My favorite is mind. Is soul. Mind, now you got me saying it. Soul. Because it's the action, it's the activity, and I like the idea that the soul is impersonal. I just like the idea that there's something that's not playing games. It's just, it does what it says it's going to do. So I like the reliability of the soul. And that's one of the biggest parts of this whole teaching. The reliability of the soul. That you have the capacity to use your mind and it's always going to respond exactly the same way. Not playing games, not going to take you personally. It's just going to respond based on what you put into it. I just love that part of it. And I do love all 3 chapters, of course. But I just love the whole concept of the impersonal nature of the soul. Okay? So let's start with spirit. So here's what I want to do. I want to start with your understanding of what spirit is. So I'm going to start with Archie. Archie, what is spirit?
My definition of spirit is
Matthew?
my definition of spirit is the overall universal intelligence that has no form but is always the starting point of everything that is.
Okay. How does that relate to God?
As it relates to God, God is the beginning of everything.
Okay. So you coming from such a highly Christian background, how does spirit work for you?
Well, if I was using a more traditional approach, I would say, I'll say it like this. I need help. I call on spirit, and, I hope spirit answers.
Okay. Anthony, since it's your favorite chapter, how do you define spirit? How do you define spirit?
Spirit is the overall strength of my being. It is it's what makes up me.
So here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something tangible, something you can use. Like, you know what I mean? Something you can use. Because otherwise, these are just terms. And those chapters, while they're very intelligent and they're very, make sense, how do we use them? I knew growing up as a Catholic that I could go to church, walk into a church, kneel down, pray to a statue, and I would get results. I knew who I was as a Catholic. I was a child of God. I was a child I was saved through Jesus. I understand that so clearly. I understand that God the Father, I have rules to live by, and if I live by those rules, I will be rewarded, probably after I die. And that there were certain things about me that I could not change. I couldn't change where I came from, who I was born to. If I committed certain sins, I was going to pay for those. I understood that religion so clearly. So tonight we're doing spirit, soul, body. That's our entire religion. So if we just glaze over this, and if we just go through these and read what he said and use phrases that really don't apply, then we're kind of missing the point, and I'm not doing my job as a teacher. So I want you to do your job as students tonight and really make sense out of this for yourselves. Make real sense out of it. So what is spirit then? I mean, what is it? How do you use it? How does it relate to you in such a way that it actually means something and you know who you are because of it? That's really the thing, that you know who you are. I knew who I was as a 7-year-old kneeling in St. Bernard's Church, praying to Jesus to let my parents go blind before I brought home the F's and geography history and science. One report card.
But spirits, I would say now, since you said that, are my beliefs. They are where I see myself.
And what are those beliefs?
Some are, fear. I have a belief that there is fear somewhere in there.
Okay, so backing it up even past that. So what are fears? What are those things, Laura? What Anthony's talking about right now, what are those things? What are fears? What are my beliefs? What are those things?
Well, limited beliefs.
No, don't judge them, but what are they? What is that?
Well, I mean, it's what he's created them to mean. No?
No, but what are they?
Conscious choice.
Conscious, right?
Conscious.
It's conscious. Conscious choice. It's consciousness, right? That's all it is. So if spirit is consciousness, then what else about spirit is really important? That you are consciousness. That's what you are. Like, I used to think I was a child of God. No, I'm actually a being of consciousness. And that is spirit. That's what spirit is. It's consciousness, right? So then, how does that work in my life? I knew I could go kneel in church and pray to the baby Jesus statue or the Mother of Prague, whatever it was, or pray to the Blessed Mother mostly, because I thought she would intercede better than anybody else, and pray for something. So how does that work for us? I knew who that was. So I'm consciousness. So we can choose to use it? You can choose to use it. Well, no, you're always using it. You're using it right now, and you're not even trying. Well, you probably are trying a little bit. But you know what I mean? You're not like consciously saying, I'm going to think this right now. I'm going to think this right now. You're just thinking. So consciousness is always thinking, isn't it? So say
Awareness.
it's awareness. Well, Consciousness is awareness? Explain.
When you're conscious, you're aware.
Well, not always. I am conscious, but I may not be aware of what I'm thinking. I may not be aware of what I'm choosing to create right now. I may just be creating it.
I always just look at it as like kind of like a white canvas, and you can do whatever you want to. I mean, like you can
But a lot of
kind of
people
put
walk,
whatever you want.
but a lot of people walk around with
Whatever
white
you
canvases. They're
Uh,
not actually putting much on it, but the universe is putting stuff on it. Grace Mind's putting stuff on it. That's what we'll find out next week in practitioner class. You know, people are putting things on it because we're relating to people. So spirit. So far what we have is consciousness, right? It's consciousness, but it is active consciousness. Consciousness that is always creating. So this is a creative energy, spirit, right? So if spirit's a creative energy and that's what I am, so what am I always doing then?
Always creating.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. We are taking the Christian idea of God. God the Father would be at the top of this list. God, man, Jesus, the Son of God, well, the Son of God is God, but God, the Son of God, and then the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, interestingly enough, is, for us, the law. But it's also the Holy Spirit. It's that creative energy, that thing that creates. The light. In Catholic Church, it's the light. Christian Church, the Holy Spirit is a light. Enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Again, it's creativity. It's constantly creating. So when we start with spirit, when we start with this, you know, the triune nature, this is called the triune three, the triune nature of being. This is who you are. The triune nature of being, Gary, is what you are. It's not how you use it. That's over here. It's what you are. You are spirit, soul, body. And so tonight we break them down into 3 groups. So what do we really know these 3 things to be? So spirit is consciousness, yes?
Yeah.
It's living consciousness, yes? It is creative consciousness. It is constantly creating. Well, it also happens to be, as opposed to the Christianity religion where you pray to that conscious creative energy, you actually start to understand it's what you are. Now the irony of here, of course, is that we're juxtapositioning Christianity with New Thought, and yet it was Jesus who basically said, I and the Father are one, greater things will you do, it is done unto you as you believe. I believe Jesus the Christ was the first New Thought teacher. He came to get rid of the middleman and then made him the biggest middleman in history, right? But he came to tell us, this is how this really is. You are all of this. Greater things will you do the minute you know who you are. So that's what spirit is. And I'm going to go to Ernest Holmes' words too, of course. But that's what spirit is. And so our job as religious scientists, as New Thought practitioners, and I don't mean practitioners in terms of license, just we practice what we understand, is to take all of that down out of the sky and start to live it, start to really get it. That when we're talking about spirit, we don't need to go very far to explain it. Spirit is who and what I am. That's what spirit is. It is a thinking, breathing, conscious energy, creative energy, unlimited in scope, that is all powerful. That's what it is. It's energy. It's consciousness. Does that make better sense?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody good with that? Yes, Archie.
This is going to sidetrack, but help me if you can. Because of my job, obviously I'm constantly going into homes that are Christian oriented, and I'm running into, how am I going to present myself? Because as soon as I possibly present myself as someone that is not Christian, there's a possibility that there's going to be some dissonance created.
Well, do you want to know the truth? I don't present myself as someone who's not Christian.
Okay.
I say, if someone says to me, are you Christian? I say, yes. I'm Christian, I'm Hindu, I'm Buddhist, I'm all of those things, but the basis for everything I believe is in Christianity.
Okay.
So I don't even think you have to go there.
Okay.
Because as I'm explaining what this is, I believe Jesus of Nazareth would stand right here and explain it in very similar way. He just didn't have the audience that would understand it then.
Right.
So he had to do parables, and he had to say things like, it's done unto you as you believe. Go home, your faith has healed you. And the Jews didn't talk like that back then. He was out there then. But he was still trying to speak to them in a language that they understood. So for us, 2,000 years later, to keep trying to make sense out of the very words he used as opposed to the message he was giving, I don't think it does us any good. At the same time, I want to appeal to Christians.
Right.
I want to be one with Christians. I want to honor and respect and be in alignment with what they believe, where it matches what I believe. And a great deal of it does. It's just that last little piece of Jesus, my personal Savior, that I don't quite.
What about heaven and hell?
You tell me. You're a practitioner.
Well,
student.
no, I mean, I don't, I had a whole discussion about, was James here? Because, I mean, they were talking about brothers that were gay, and they were trying to work, one came from a very I love him unconditionally, and I don't really care, but my mom does. And the other one was the super religious person, studied.
When anybody ever talks about
I was like, I had a really hard time because I didn't, I know what I believe, and I don't believe there's a man in the sky, and I don't believe there's a devil.
So you can't get into those discussions.
No, and I didn't. I just was like,
there's
well,
one
what do
thing
you
you can use, Laura.
yeah. Tell me.
Jesus taught love. Therefore, I love everyone. I don't judge.
Which is
I will not
which
have-
was kind of my answer.
But then you
I
don't
said,
get to
well,
have a conversation with those people.
Yeah.
That stops the conversation. If it doesn't stop the conversation, you need to stop it and
Yeah.
say, you know what, I can't have this conversation.
Okay.
I really do believe what Jesus taught. Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Okay.
And I really believe what he said, that love is the most important commandment. And so I don't go into judgment, and I really don't want to have a discussion about whether someone's right or wrong. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm still Christian saying that, probably more so than the
Right.
condemnation that tends to show up as Christianity.
Okay.
So that's who we get to be.
That's a good.
That's who we get to be. And I just did that with two Jehovah's Witnesses that came to my door. I did. And it was.
And how did it go? How did they?
It actually went very well. I just stayed on my point,
Right.
which is that because it's like, well, but you're not a real Christian because you don't believe Jesus is your personal Savior. It's like, well, I actually believe everything Jesus taught, because Jesus never said he came to save me. He said he came to teach me that I needed to embrace love, and I do. And I respect and honor your religion and anything you guys get out of it that works for you. And it didn't go over well with them. They were having a hard time arguing with me when I would argue.
Yeah.
I don't say, God bless you, have a wonderful day. And I never get, you get into those
I do.
more
Because it was
conversations.
fun, right? It was fun.
So far, I haven't.
It's
But
not
they
that it's-
also need to hear,
I
if,
mean,
they, if
this
they're
was-
pushing their point of view, he can also say, this is my point of view. And,
Yeah.
and they need to learn something too, they need to hear it.
And I think the two young men who were at my door, I think they did learn something, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do.
In my neighborhood,
they
they
needed to
come
meet
in
you
mass
then.
like,
Oh, they do. They come in like 20 of them walk the streets.
yeah,
But you know what? Here's the thing. That spirit,
yeah, it is.
getting back to what we're talking about, that's God.
Yeah.
God is speaking no matter who's talking. If two Jehovah's Witnesses show up at my door, I brought them there.
Yes.
Let's be very clear. Whenever it shows up on my door, I put it there.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of that. So anyway, so back now, let's look at what Ernest Holmes says. So everybody good on this idea of spirit? Gotta include yourself in this definition of spirit. Spirit can't be, let's not use New Thought terminology to put spirit outside of ourselves. Let's just remember, it's living, breathing energy, consciousness, and it's what I am and it's who I am. And it's everywhere present, which is why I'm so passionate about the understanding of oneness. That the Rumi quote, I am not just a drop in the ocean, I'm the entire ocean in a drop. That's why that is so important to me to understand, to really get it from the idea of spirit. So, right at the top, Ernest Holmes says, the definition of spirit is life or intelligence conceived of entirely apart from physical embodiment, Now, why does he say you're entirely apart from physical embodiment? Why do you think he says that? Gary?
Because physical embodiment is matter on the subconscious level. So it's form and spirit.
It's form. Right. So he's basically saying, while we understand that conscious mind and form are two ends of the same coin, and that thoughts are things, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's all God. This is the creative part. And that's what he's saying here. It is an intelligence conceived of entirely apart from physical embodiment. This is the living, breathing energy. This is what's created out of it. Yes? He also says, spirit is conscious mind and is the power which knows itself. It is conscious being. So let's clear up one thing that just came up a minute ago. Being conscious or being aware. Who said awareness? Laura, you said? Gary, you said? Being aware. So, spirit is always, always, always conscious of itself. It is self-contemplating at all times. It is always, always creating. Spirit, as in the oneness. It's always creating, always conscious. You have the capacity to be conscious or not to be conscious, to be or not to be. That's your choice. That's volition. But spirit itself, before it is individualized as Anthony, is always conscious and is always, always doing what it's doing. That's why, frankly, most of the time, all we have to do is get our, as Emerson says, bloated nothingness out of the way so that it can really consciously do what it does at all times anyway. Prosperity is not creating prosperity. Prosperity is getting out of the way of lack. That's it. Disease is, health is not creating health. That's why we don't call them healing circles anymore. We don't create health. Health is just getting out of the way of disease. That's how this works. So, that's what he means by that. So, he also says, spirit is the Father, Mother, God, because it is the principle of unity back of all things. The masculine and the feminine principles both come from the one. So masculine and feminine. So I love that we still have these things on the board because it actually is helping me. So the masculine and the feminine. So this is called what? This diagram? Triune nature of being. This is called creative process. So where's the masculine and the feminine on here? Where's the masculine? Becky?
Subconscious mind.
No. Masculine.
Conscious
mind is the masculine. I know women hate this, get in a lot of trouble during this particular part of teaching, but this is how it's conscious mind. It's masculine goes into the feminine, in case y'all forget. The masculine goes into the feminine. Feminine is subjective mind. Okay? Subjective, subconscious. Okay, but it's both of these things that constitute mind. Same thing over here. When Nancy Jo was saying, the body-mind connection, this is mind. These two parts are mind. Okay? Conscious mind, subconscious mind, subjective mind. Okay. Middle of 82, he says, God is the life in everything, the love through everything. So let's talk about love for a second. Because a lot of people will say that spirit is love, right? What is God? God is love. So how can you make sense out of love then, Matthew? What is love?
Love is a choice. Love is...
Now I'm going to tell you, love is not a choice. And you may be able to choose who you give your love to, but love itself, just what is love?
Love is like, I was going to finish, love is like a state of being, right?
Yes.
So, and that is a choice that you sort of step into, right? And you do sort of, because it's always there.
Choose, yes.
It's always there, right?
Always there, right?
So when you sort of step into that, that is a conscious choice.
Can you ever step out of it?
Can you step out of it?
Yeah.
Just up here,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So,
Right.
so it's your like volition, right? Like your dominion is that sort of stepping into that which is already there, which is love, right? That is love. Do we consider love as like maternal energy, or is it just like
No.
all of it? Okay. I didn't know if that connotation.
No,
Like-
I'm going to make it really simple. They're synonyms. God, spirit, love, all the same word.
Okay.
It's the same thing. Love is a consciousness, is the energy of consciousness. It's the same thing I would describe for spirit. That's what love is. It's almost like love becomes the adjective we give to spirit. What is spirit? Spirit is the consciousness, the energy, the divine energy constantly creating. It's what I am. It's who I am. It's love. That's what love is. All that is what love is. So Ernest Holmes says this about love. Love is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. It's on page 608. Love is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. So love is creative. Love is that energy that's constantly creating. Goes on to say, Emerson tells us that love is a synonym for God. We are also told in the New Testament that he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. So that's Jesus. Love is free from condemnation, even as it is free from fear. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible, which is a sentence I use in every wedding I perform. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Okay? So that's love. So if you're not talking about spirit, you're also talking about love. And you're also talking about God. They're all synonyms. Yes? Okay. On page 83, third line down, it has always been taught that the soul of the universe is that receptive medium into which the spirit breathes. I'm sorry, I stopped on breathes when I underlined this, but it has always been taught that the soul of the universe is the receptive medium into which the spirit breathes forth the forms of its thought. But just think about that image. You breathe forth the images, the forms of your thought. Why do you think we take breaths, deep breaths? Think about it. Why do you think, why does it feel so good? Didn't it feel good in the beginning to just take that deep breath? Why do you think? Because you are literally, you're like gathering up all of the energy. You're literally gathering it up. And as you breathe forth, you are literally in that creative space. That's what's so amazing about that. But why do you think when actors, when they're really nervous, they just like breathe? Because it brings me into a centered place, and now I just breathe forth what I'm doing. So, what a great quote. The soul of the universe is the receptive medium, right here, the receptive medium, into which the spirit breathes forth the forms of its thought. It is subjective to the spirit. That which is subjective is always impersonal, neutral, plastic, passive, and receptive. So I'm not going to go into that because I want to do that when I get into soul. Okay? So one of the sentences that's on page 83, right under spirit, the changeless. Second, it sounds like, doesn't it sound like a knight or something? Spirit, the changeless. It's like one of the Harry Potter characters. 2 lines down, he says, creation is the passing of spirit into form. So, David, tell me what that means to you. Creation is the passing of spirit into form.
Spirit is the energy of creation. Spirit is the creative process. It's the stuff. It's the unsubstantiated substance. It's that which hasn't manifested any kind of form. And what happens, it goes through that process. This is what in the physics they call it the particle, the host.
Higgs boson.
Higgs boson. That there's a process in which it gathers itself and manifests into a variety of forms, beginning with subatomic particles and eventually becomes manifested into form.
And the word I want to really optimize here is passing. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say creation is the making of spirit into form. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It says it's the passing. So, how hard have we made this?
Very.
Thank you for that very quick answer. You're right, though. Very, very hard. We've made this so hard. This thing that happens innately, happens naturally. The passing of spirit into form. Every single thing you know up here, purely, without any hindrance, without anything arguing against it, without any beliefs hanging onto it to pull it away, literally just passes right into form. Haven't you had those moments where you've been so clear, just so clear, you just had the thought and it's so simple, everything just seemed to unfold like easily? That was not a fluke. It wasn't a fluke. It was you being so clear, so pure, so uninhibited, right?
Uninhibited.
Not inhibited, unencumbered. Thank you. Unencumbered. I feel like this is malaprop. Right? Unencumbered by anything that would be in opposition to it. So that's what we're here to do, to actually learn how to live like that, to learn how to think that way. Okay. Page 84. I'm not going to use that because that's about the law. So go back down to the bottom of page 84. It says,
I have a question on page 83.
oh, sure. Yep.
While we're there. I highlighted, it says at the bottom of the second paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
but it is not conscious of any effort or process in its manifestation. So consequently, it is conscious of that which it manifests, but it is not conscious of any effort or process in its manifestation. So I understand not being able to be conscious of like the law working sort of like away from you, like the work that it's doing after you project that energy. But isn't that what we're trying to get at, is being aware of that law that is in motion and becoming aware of it?
No. Okay. Yes and no.
Okay.
We want to understand it.
Right.
So that we're so clear, so resolute in our understanding of how it works, that we understand
That we get out of the way.
that it works naturally.
Right. Okay. So this is
So
sort of,
that's what he's saying.
so he's sort of saying this in the state, like he already grew up with that. He already grew up, Ernest Holmes already grew up
Right.
under that teaching. So he's sort of, taking a step, going from that
He's
position,
going past the idea of understanding to say,
as opposed to someone like me who doesn't have anything to sort of step away from.
well, he's talking about spirit itself,
Right.
not the individualized version that is Matthew Shea.
And that was also another question that I had, which it said somewhere that, my mind and your mind is just sort of the mind. We're both experiencing it, and that there was no separation, but
There's no separation.
right. And I know that we teach that, but isn't there some sort of like individuality that?
There is, but that's not separation. So it's
Right.
like yes, you are individual,
Yeah.
but this room's filled with air.
Mhm.
We're all part of it. We're all liquid. We're all part of this one room. But you're still individual, but you're also the whole. You're the
Right.
individual and you're the whole.
Right. Now, particularly towards the mind or our consciousness.
Right.
I
use electricity.
Mhm.
Okay. You see that little wire there?
Yeah.
That's going into the socket?
Yeah.
It's going into it's using electricity individually
Right.
to individually light up that to power that
Right, but
computer.
electricity is electricity.
But electricity is electricity.
I like that analogy a lot.
I just thought of it when I looked down. But that's what it is. But the other part of this that you're asking about is it is conscious of what it manifests, but not conscious of any effort. There is one of the biggest problems we have. We are conscious of the process. We are conscious of the effort. We even tell it how hard it's going to be. We tell the law how hard it's going to be. Oh my God, I'm 62 years old. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. oh my God, I'm going to all these Christian houses to sell things, and what if they find out we're telling it how hard it's going to be? Well, we don't have to tell it anything. I come from love, I know who I am, this is what I expect, and so it is. And that's what he's saying here. That's when it just passes through into form, because we don't have anything blocking its way.
But we are conscious of that.
We are conscious, we should be just conscious of what it is we want to manifest. In Mental Muscle, since I'm working on this right now for my next class, it says, what if I knew I was happy and that's all I knew? What if I knew I was rich and that's all I knew? What if I knew I was amazingly talented and that's all I knew? And then it says, oh God. And then at the bottom it says, that's what you're here to know. Not with anything else in the way. It's not, what if I knew I was incredibly talented, but I also knew that I live in Los Angeles, there's a lot of people that are incredibly talented, and well, actually, at my age, it's not as easy. That's what I know. Not me, but people. Right? Because I'm not trying to get an action.
So that's what I'm saying. It's sort of going from that perspective of lack.
Yeah. Well, it's
He's writing it as if your starting point is wrong.
No, he's writing it from a place of Spirit's starting point is always perfect. When it's individualized as man, we block the way. But if we
qualify.
we qualify.
Yeah.
But if we were to just understand what Spirit is, which is perfect in scope, always creates from out of itself, knowing there's nothing to block its way, always manifests, breathes itself and just manifests right through. I'm that too. I just have to get back to what's inside the other side of the club and stop thinking of myself as so separate. You know, that was one of the quotes from last night's class that I loved so much, the practitioner class, which is the whole concept of not taking yourself. It's in the Practicing the Presence by Joel Goldsmith. So not taking myself as so seriously that it's about me. It's not about me. And if I got out of the way of thinking it's about me, I'd actually be in a much more powerful position. Make sense? So page 84, bottom, last paragraph. The whole action of Spirit. Okay, so this is continuing on from where we just were. The whole action of Spirit must be within itself, upon the law, which is also within itself, and upon the universal stuff, which is also within itself. The three in reality are one, the Trinity. That's the triune nature, the Trinity. There is something called God that makes things out of himself or itself by becoming the things it makes according to the law and order, as nearly as the intelligence of the human race is able to judge. Spirit creates by contemplation. So do you. So do I. David succeeds in creating what he wants in life because at some point an idea comes to him and he contemplates its reality. To the degree that he puts things in the way, blocks things, and puts other elements into it, that determines the process of how long it's going to take, or if it maybe will never happen, right? But the truth is, the desire itself is the contemplation of Spirit, and when the contemplation of Spirit is left alone to do what it needs to do, it just flies through and manifests. Questions? Martha? Nope. Nope, got it, clear. Okay, page 85, third paragraph. Metaphysical work rests upon the theory that the universe is a thing of absolute intelligence, that the intelligence is self-existent. Spirit was not created. I only bring this up because and I don't want to discuss it too much because it could go around and around and around and around and around. What's the purpose of saying Spirit was not created? God, in Catholic Church, it's God always was, and always will be. Always is, always was, and always will be. Is that important to us? Does that have any relevance?
Yes and no.
Give me the yes.
Yes, it has relevance because that's the first step, right? I mean, first step is in treatment is knowing that and sort of
Because all there is.
Yeah, tapping into it, that's first step. So yes, it has relevance. No, because it should be inherent.
Okay, I'll buy that. It only has relevance if it has anything to do with your creative process. If it somehow impinges upon it or enhances it. For me, it enhances it, and I bet you for you it does too.
Well, I think of it in terms of infinity.
Right.
Because it always was.
Right.
There's no beginning and there won't be any end. It's just always will be.
Exactly. Okay, so only one mind. That paragraph is on 87. That actually comes over to here. So there's only one mind. But we break it down into parts. Conscious mind, subjective mind. Okay? Or spirit and soul. So when we, or, what's another way of saying spirit and soul? I'll give you a hint. I'm going to use the color red.
Heaven and hell.
What am I going to write here? There you go. Thank you, Peggy. Love and
Law.
law. Okay? So, two aspects of one thing. Every thought you have, every belief you have is love, because what did we say about love? It is spirit, it is creative, it is constantly conscious and knowing. But it is also actively creative inside, which means the law is operating within it. So love and law is really one thing. Spirit and soul is really one thing. We only break it down in order to teach it. And I think we get too caught up as students of religious science in this idea of, I think my thought and put it into the law. Because we don't say that anymore around here. We don't say, and I put my word into the law. We don't say that anymore. We speak our word what?
As law.
As law. Recognizing, remembering. Law, love and law are one and the same thing. And I speak my word as law, knowing that it is already done. Okay.
So one of the things that I hear often is I release my word into law. Would at that point it still be okay? Because then I see it as the holding on to it. And
I would still say I release my word as law.
So as law?
Yeah.
Or like, and law, and like I release my word and the law reacts to it.
But then you're still dualistically
Separate.
creating.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no, totally.
around here, we are like the duality Nazis at this church.
That's awesome.
Right, Sharon?
But we used to say that, and I remember when I went into
Yeah, I've heard that. That's why
for
I'm
the
asking.
practitioner panel, in my treatment, I said I released my word into law, and then Dr.
Right.
Hoyt, she says, no, you are the law. It's all, it's not into the laws. And so, but I mean, up to that point, we were kind of still saying it that way a little bit.
No, we weren't. We
Yeah.
just were still having trouble
Yeah,
getting away from
switching
the
over.
rote way of saying it.
Yeah,
But I remember that. Yeah, I remember that she really
yeah.
got it. Okay. Any question on spirit? Because I have to do all three, and I just spent an hour on spirit. So,
I have a
yes.
question, but I'm going to have to hold it to after class because I need to think about
Why don't you just say it? Maybe we'll think about it together. Or you don't know the question yet.
it. Yeah, isn't living from love like a lofted belief?
Lofty?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
yeah, like a lofted belief. Like it's not really who you are, or how you can be, or how one person could be.
How come? You mean it's not practical? It's not realistic.
Yeah, and in
Everyday life.
right. I feel it is. But there are some
Universe.
areas, I'm only speaking for myself.
But the
Some
world tells
areas
us
in
it's
life,
not.
some areas in my own life,
Mhm.
there are things that show up in my life that, how could that just be love?
Oh, now you just did two different things there. You said, how could that just be love? Which means that's a qualitative idea around whatever that thing is, calling that thing love.
Or living,
How can I live as love not coming from love, but come from love. That still works for me, I guess. But as I live as love, and I come from that place that I am, which is love, how can I look at that?
As anything but.
As
I can look at everything from love.
Mm-hmm.
Can I look at someone who just, I was just reading something about a gay person in one of those countries, it's illegal, where they literally buried him up to his neck and then stoned him to death. Yeah, and the visceral thought of what must have felt like, and it was described what it felt like in order to make a point. Can you look at that as love? That's what you're asking.
Yes, when things show up that are not viewed as love.
Right. So our job is not to go around and judging what is and what isn't love. Our job is to come from love, because we are love. That's what I am. Can I look at that? I'm sick to my stomach. I just get sick thinking that any person would ever have had to go through that. But let's just look at Jesus. If everything that Jesus went through is true, and I assume some of it is, I won't say all of it because you don't know after all these years what was really, how telephone tag played out its way into 2,000 years later. But something happened to this man, and he was tortured. He was exterminated. He was gotten rid of. And this is a man who only spoke from love. And if we're also to believe that Jesus, to the very last moment, forgave and understood he was coming from love, looked at everybody. Those didn't matter what they were doing to him. He still saw love. Was there hatred in his heart? I think not. I think this man was so clear. I think he was so clear on what was going on. I think Gandhi was so clear what was going on. I think Martin Luther King was very clear what needed to be done and what needed to, and the approach that needed, where we needed to come from. It doesn't mean that Martin Luther King didn't lose his temper, and Jesus lost his temper, and so did Gandhi, so did Yogananda. They all lose their temper at times. Does that mean they're not coming from love? No, it doesn't. It just means they forgot who they were for a second, or that was the perfect outpouring of love coming from them. So, getting back to your original question was, is it lofty? Is it too lofty an idea to live from that place? I would say this, Anthony. I think it's too dangerous an idea not to come from that place, because there's so much that could pull us off of who we are if we don't come from that place across the board. And that we don't, like as Dr. Bitzer used to say, even on special occasions, I won't come from anything but love. You can't pull me off of that. I think it's lofty in a sense because it's hard, but I think it's something we have to do because it's our true nature. It just feels right to love, even in those situations.
I would also say that as you practice that, as you allow yourself to become more and more a place of, I start with love and I come from love, on a growing exponential way, you only create and only attract love. So that step by step, day by day, you surround yourself with layers of love so that you are less and less infected, so to speak, by anything that's not love.
Mm-hmm.
So I can honestly say at this point in my life, what I perceive as not love is out there. And I'm still admitting that I can perceive that because I'm still in process. I'm still working that. But the reality of my daily life, and I say this frequently to my clients, I'm surrounded by love. Everything in my life is that. I come from love, I go to love, I visit love, everything is that. And it's an amazing place because I came from anger, hatred, fear, revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And my life now is love. It's that every day, all the time.
And that's not to say that if I saw somebody come up behind you with a knife, that I would literally tackle them.
And that would be love too.
Right? And love for you.
and for that other person. It's just, and actually more than the people involved, to stand up for love. You know, again, it's not the easiest thing in the world. It isn't. I loved what Adrienne Gaines said on Sunday, last Sunday, when she said, and I didn't do it, I haven't done it last night or the night before, which I promised myself I would do every night for the rest of my life. She said, every night when she goes to bed, she asks one question, and it's this: who have I left out of my heart today? Is there anyone I left out of my heart today? And if there is, I need to bring them back into my heart before I go to sleep. That could be a lot of people. It could be Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it could be.
Yeah.
You know, I watched the first hour of the debate tonight with so much love in my heart for both of them. I did. I watched him, and I wasn't feeling any kind of animosity, or there were things that he was saying that I knew were just not true. But I kept myself in a really loving place, loving position. So I don't want to go to bed tonight and think I have to work to bring Donald Trump back into my heart. I've left him there, and I trust that he will unfold perfectly. So it's a great fit sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who have I left out of my heart? Who did I leave out of my heart today? So, thank you for that question. And I don't want you to feel like I glibed over it because it's a really important question. But I will say this, Anthony, I think it's important to not confuse the difficulty of it with the importance of it. You know what I mean? It is difficult. And it's probably impossible if you really get down and think about it. Is it impossible to live from love at all 100% of the time? Most likely 99.9% of the world will say to you, that's impossible. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try for it. We shouldn't try to attain it.
I think that's the hardest thing. For me, it has been, and for many people that are learning this philosophy, is that how can we look at everything with love, and then you see these horrible things happening in the world? How do you reconcile that? 9/11 or child abuse and a lot of things. I mean, we have to think about how to look at that and not recognize it as it's certainly not good, but still not condemn it in a way that condemns all the people.
Matthew, you're missing
involved.
Sharon.
I think it's been hard for me all through practitioner training and everything to just look at it in a different way, and that is part of learning to come from love. And I think it all relates around to remembering who we are.
Yeah,
and
and don't be
remember
confused.
who we are.
Yeah, and don't be confused. We don't look at child abuse and see love. We don't. We come from love to look at what's going on. That's why it's so important for us to be willing. And I said this in London on Sunday, and I was very adamant about it because somebody brought up, or one of the other, I think it was Harry, said that we don't look at the what's in the world. That's not our job. And I feel the exact opposite. If I'm going to learn this science, I'm learning it so that I can look at what's in the world from love, and that we all have a responsibility when we learn how to use our minds correctly. Our responsibility is to use our minds in the world, not climb up to a mountain somewhere, cross our leg, and own ourselves into oblivion. Then you're of no earthly use whatsoever.
Or we don't have to say it's all good. It's not all good.
It's not all good. It all comes from good, but it's not all good out there.
The misuse of them.
It's all good, it's all God. No, it's all God. But it's not all good in terms of the relative world. However, I can use my good of my mind to understand it all and bring it to a higher level.
So, like as I said, it's a conscious thought over an unconscious thought. Spirit / love / God is not unconscious. So
No, it's conscious.
right, I said it's not unconscious, meaning that it is conscious.
Right, don't use a double negative, just say it's conscious. It's not unconscious. I know, it's always confusing.
Yeah, it's like a driving test.
God.
But with enough time
Hold on. Oh, go ahead. Turn it.
You're
Okay. Oh,
Oh, wow.
oh, no, you're on now.
Hey,
Go ahead.
but with enough time, is it like overall like for good? You know, like it might not be good in our perspective
Yes, it
relative
is.
to the moment, but like overall, like you could even say that particularly like what my dad used all the time, like the Holocaust, you know, like that was definitely not good at the time. And it's still not good that it happened, but I mean, like, look what came from it. Like, at least now, like, people can, like, there's a homeland that someone could go to.
Yes, but look what came from it. Syria. Sure. It's happening the same thing now.
Right, and it's, you know, in the scheme of things, you know, what with God being infinite and everything, and you know, like, and going on forever, like it could, you know, all this could just be a learning experience for the people to evolve.
Well, and that's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope because to try to get into the Holocaust, whether it's good or not good, you know what? It happened. Somebody just come back on?
No.
Okay. Let's go to soul. Can I just
Gary?
say,
I'm sorry. So is it our responsibility then, since we're using our minds, that when you're watching TV, do you treat when you're coming across this, or how do you come from as love? I mean, is it an automatic thing that you're just...
I personally don't need to treat anymore. I will only treat if I feel my mind slipping off of it.
Okay.
I don't have to treat for it because I don't have that. I don't have it in my heart anymore.
Okay.
I don't have the anger in my heart. I don't have I have love in my heart for everyone and everything. And I only treat if I slide off of that.
Okay.
So I don't have to look at the news and see all the horrible things happening. When I see horrible things happening in the world, I don't have to necessarily treat for that, but I do have to make sure that I haven't slipped into a reaction to it that's causing secondary cause. I can love the people and know that they are going to be safe. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to soul. Martha, why don't you tell me, what is soul? Because here's the thing about soul, before you tell me. Soul was used in the religions we came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Where did you come from? Christianity? Catholicism? Okay, so what was the soul in Catholicism?
I don't remember, I blocked it all out.
Who was that? David, what was the soul in Catholicism?
Soul is a spiritual entity that existed along with the mind and the body, but it was that part that would eventually go into whatever heaven or hell. That was the essence of ourselves.
So it was kind of, yeah.
I was gonna say soul is what was told to me growing up was what's inside of me.
Yeah.
It was breathed into me by God.
Yeah, it's sort of like a spiritual report card.
Right.
Seriously, think about it.
Yeah.
Checks, marks, blemishes. The soul is the essence of who you are, right? It's the personality. It's the divine essence of who you are. You come into the world, Catholicism, in this as this perfect soul, this clean soul. Obviously, you come into the world with original sin on your soul. Then you get baptized to get rid of that blemish.
You start with a C.
You start with a C,
C.
and then it's your spiritual report. You come into the world with a D. And then by a really good SAT test score, with some priest coming in and putting some oil on you and dunking your head in water, you're suddenly A+. And now you go through life and you either get A's, B's, C's, or a lot of F's, and you start blemishing that soul. So that's what we thought of as the soul, yes? Now, Martha, what is the soul in religious science terms?
For me, the soul is the connection. It's the Ethernet cable. If that makes any sense. It's the part of me that is always.
You're getting so skinny. Your face is like, you're looking like exactly like that.
Oh, fine. Cool. Well, he's cutie pie, so that works out. Yeah, it's the connection. It's the part that keeps me individualized yet not separate.
Okay.
If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Sharon, what's the soul?
Well, and the way we teach it, the soul is that unformed substance of the ether that everything's made from, and then as we think into it, it produces, or I shouldn't say produces, it passes into form, because it is that's unformed substance
Where is unformed substance up here?
in the souls.
Everywhere.
Well, you know, spirit and soul.
Well, and the teaching tool, I think, it's in the middle.
Well, because I'm not sure, because I would never think you were wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up.
I'd say it's the soul.
It's down in the metaphysical charts.
What exactly are you looking for?
Unformed substance on the chart.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it's somewhere else.
Undifferentiated substance.
Where do you see it?
Under subjective intelligence in page 91, last sentence of the 1, 2, 3, third paragraph.
Page 91. I don't have a page on that. Page 91?
This is what we're looking for. So the soul of the universe is next in principle, described.
No, we're looking at a metaphysical chart.
Okay.
Yeah,
it says soul stuff refers to the primordial
is that
or
5?
undifferentiated substance.
Is that page 568 on the metaphysical chart number 1?
Yeah.
Metaphysical chart number 1.
Page 568. 568.
What this says is a creative medium.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
no,
the
it's a creative medium. I don't know.
That's it.
You know what? It's so funny.
The term soul stuff refers to the primordial or undifferentiated substance from which all things are made.
Soul stuff.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's in here. Okay, so see, I always think of the undifferentiated substance everywhere present.
I would suggest that it's in both.
Oh,
It's in both.
Yeah, I think it's actually not only in both, but it comes.
Well,
It's the substance of the universe.
yes, substance of the universe
So-
is the ether of the universe, but still, when we, in a teaching tool, I think, since we think into this soul, the subjective mind, in creating, and that is where the soil undifferentiated, that then it passes into.
But is it the soil or is it the law which acts upon the soil?
Well, it's still in the middle.
It doesn't matter where it is. What more matters
Geography's
more
not in
is
here.
yeah, well, unless it's on the test, then we'll have to. I don't think I've ever seen that on the test. But getting back to what the soul is, so we start out with a report card, and we're not kind of getting it. We're getting a lot of terms, but we're not getting something that's as easily understandable as that report card that I went to Catholic school and learned about.
You
Like-
for law, that is.
I don't know. I'm not looking for anything. I'm actually wide open to how we can know this in a way that's just as useful as it was in Catholics.
Right.
You know
So-
what I think?
Okay, so I'm going back to when I first started this whole teaching and trying to make a sense of all of this. And one of the
Right.
things that somebody told me that made sense, there was 2 things. One, it's like once you put the recipe into, the little cupcake thingy or whatever, you put it in the oven. What's going on in the oven is what we're talking about. It's the soul. It's what makes the oven work, that makes the thing cook itself, and then it's done, and we now
So
have
soul
the
is not the
cupcakes.
oven, soul is the process.
Yes,
of the
soul
essence.
is what's going on in the oven, not the oven itself, but
Ingredients.
everything putting together, everything that works all at once, so that out comes the form of
Cupcake.
the cupcake. Same thing with, when it's down in the earth and we planted the seed, right? And now everything working together, the sun, the water, the nurturing of the soil,
How do you make sense out
everything
of
that's
that?
going on.
How do you make sense of that using your soul as that? Remember, the
Soul
soul
is the movement of energy.
Mhm.
I would say.
or is
It's
conscious
the-
mind, or is
conscious.
spirit the movement of energy?
Yeah, you guys just described it as like the process.
Yeah, that's
Not
the
the actual.
not the movement of energy, but the process that acts upon that movement.
Which sounds to me more like if we're describing that form.
No, that's what comes out.
That's what comes out after
That's
you
the
act upon
plan.
it.
For the-
So is it a process? So is soul a process? Would you consider soul then a living process, innate in all beings, in all matter, within spirit is a living process that is innate, impersonal, and always acting.
All the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
So
we're
that's what your
always in
soul
process.
is. So your soul is that process within that is always acting upon whatever you put into it.
Well, not just within, but even without. Yeah.
But we're talking about the
So
individual.
always
I'm looking
yeah.
for you to own it,
Yes.
Yes.
own your soul.
Yes.
So what is soul? I mean,
It's the part of me that's creating whether I'm doing it on an educational level or not.
Okay.
So we just call soul the creative process.
Well, the process.
The
Process.
process. Yeah, the process.
The creative
part of it.
process is the whole thing.
Right.
It is the process. That which is acting upon
So
whenever
it's
I'm.
the power behind it,
Whatever.
power of the action.
Well, it's not the power behind it, because that would
Or-
be the oversoul.
See, that's where the word process gets like misconstrued. There's so many different processes that are going on. It's like, how are we going to describe it as that? You know?
What processes are going
Well,
on?
there's the process of actually projecting energy. Then there's the process that goes on.
I don't know that there's a process in projecting.
Well, that is we just described
You
it
think,
as a
you
process.
think. That's thinking is not a process. Contemplation could be a process.
No, but treatment is. And treatment
Yes,
is a
but-
projection of energy.
But we're not doing the steps of treatment right now. We're not doing this right
No, I
now.
know. No, but we
doing
describe. But I'm saying when we
Did you
describe.
mute her dog?
Yeah, when we describe it, when we're describing it,
Right.
soul as a process. That's why I said it could get confusing because it's not the process. It's not the one
Okay,
process.
so that doesn't work for him.
For me,
So what works for
sorry.
you then?
No,
What's the
it's
soul?
okay.
What's your soul then?
Well, spirit.
Your soul.
Well, I mean, I don't know the perfect word for it, but my best guess is like, I mean, you could call that the process, I guess, and we just have to sort of kick the other one out. Like, don't call the other one the process. Don't call it projection of energy the process anymore.
What's the projection of energy? Creative mind?
That is spirit. Spirit is not.
But see, Matthew,
Yeah.
spirit is actually this whole thing. When we break this down, there's spirit. It's almost like spirit is this whole thing. It is, and I don't think we use process in it. It is the movement of energy,
But
the
don't we-
creative movement of energy that's happening all the time.
Right, but it's also
Now, the soul is the process.
Right.
If we want to use the word process.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite the right word either, but like we say that, no, I think we say that spirit creates everything out of itself. So some part of us is that law, that unformed
So
substance
you're
that
going
creates
to use law.
Well, yeah, maybe. That, I mean, but still, it's all part of who we are. And it's all part of the universe. That there's.
I know, but you're not helping me with that.
Or like
in order
that
for
just
something
keeps
to
it
become
banging out here.
manifest,
yeah, I was gonna say the manifestation.
Say that again? Manifestation would be here.
in
No,
order
that's
for some,
fine.
but in order for something to become manifest,
Uh-huh.
it must go through a process.
Right.
Or process. Nice time, you.
I know, right?
Right, I think maybe that soul can be used can be described as a process because it is one, but we can't use spirit as a
But the
process.
problem with process is, and I agree with you, and it doesn't work. I want to know that soul, first of all, let's remember this. This is the universal tool. This is universal spirit, soul, body.
Mhm.
So right now we're talking about my individual soul, because this is also the individual. This is the universal and it's the individual. Anthony?
I would classify soul as the connection or the bridge. Personally, the bridge between spirit and form. I feel that the soul is that connection.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting because when he said that, the bridge, if spirit, that energy, that creative energy that is always creating, as it's creating, it's going. So if the soul is the bridge that brings it into manifestation,
That's a really good way of.
it's kind of cool. And it is impersonal. It doesn't care who walks over it. It doesn't care what you put over it. It doesn't care what you direct its way. It just gives it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it does that. I don't disagree, but it's still not the fullness of the concept, because it's not just a transportation or passing from one part to the other, which really doesn't exist anyway. But there's also something happening as it's going on, as it's passing over that.
What's happening?
Receptivity. It's a receptive medium.
Transformation.
Connection,
It's one of the many things
transformation.
they call
I
it.
think there's a lot of things going on.
Receptive
between
medium,
them.
right?
There are a lot of things happening in between there. I don't feel that there's a way to classify one particular thing going on.
Well, wait, there is actually.
Well,
Because in the universal, there's not a hell of a lot going on. There's one thing going on. In the individual, there's a lot of crap going on.
Right.
But in the universal, there's only one thing going on.
Love it.
Love, law, form. That's it. Love, self-givingness, the spirit, the creative essence, the energy. Law, the bridge, the process by which that which is thought moves into form, but it comes through it. It delivers the thought into a thing. It delivers. It's that part of me that delivers that which I give it to deliver. And as he said, it breathes, passes through. He does say passes through. And then goes into the body.
But on an individual level, isn't it kind of like a storage shed of all your beliefs and all your feelings and everything that's
soul?
ever happened to you?
Mm-hmm. So there's the other part. If the law's there, so it's also got the seed of memory. Every thought you've ever had, every belief you've ever had, that's in your soul. Sharon? Which is why it would be the unsubstantiated substance, because it has all the substance of the universe with which to pull out of, do what we do, think what we think, believe what we believe, and put it back through.
Yeah, when I think of soul, I always remember cocooning. And what came out of the body, what like to me was like the soul of this undifferentiated, just energy, vibrating energy. Mm-hmm. And somehow I think that is the unformed substance that can then create.
Well, let's look what he said. Unsoul, page 90. We are using the word soul, second paragraph, in the sense of a universal soul or medium through which spirit operates. It is the Holy Ghost or the third person of the Christian Trinity. So it's the light. So it enlightens, it shines truth and creates out of that light. Okay? Like the creative soil in which seeds are planted and from which plant life comes, the soul of the universe is the creative medium into which the word of spirit falls and from which creation arises. We should not, however, think of soul and spirit as separate from each other. They are really two parts or aspects of the same thing. Love and law. Okay? On page 91, he says, mind never could be unconscious. And then it says, soul is not self-conscious. So I think because we're trying to talk about these two things separately, it makes it difficult.
What's making it hard? Yeah.
Yes, because I think really these two things are one thing. I mean, they are. There's not two minds, there's one mind. So this creative essence, this creative action, this is the action, this is the receiver of the action. I act here, this receives and brings forth. So the creative medium is nothing but a receptor. This is conscious at all times, can never be unconscious. And this is always, always impersonal and, as he says here, not self-conscious. The law does not know. It just does.
Like the caterpillar.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
It just sort of
It just does.
just does it.
That's what it's innate. That's its innate purpose. So we really have to look at love and law as one thing. And I forget the quote, but it's like, love points the way, law makes it happen. You get that? So love points the way, and law makes the way happen. Okay? So the soul is immaterial as we think of matter, but it is the substance of spirit. Soul stuff is the source from which it comes. The term soul stuff refers to the primordial or undifferential substance from which all things are made. So, he also says here, all law is mind in action. Now, if you're really looking at this and you're really thinking, when you use your mind, Becky, so you use your mind, what do you want to have happen in your life right now?
I want the business to grow.
Okay, what business?
The business that I'm working on.
Okay. How do you want it to grow?
I want it to move forward and have more clients, more visibility,
Why?
because I think it would make a difference
Where?
with children and families.
Okay. What difference would it make for you?
It would give me joy.
Okay. So that's probably the most important part of that equation.
Mhm.
But most people don't go after that part. They go after all the rest of it. I want my job to do better. I want visibility. I want more clients. But ultimately, if you're going to go to a pure creative essence that the law will, with nothing holding it back or blocking the way, you have to back it all back up into what's the purest level of spirit that is so pure that the law just passes it right through. Make sense? So you need to go to, ultimately, it gives me joy to create, right? And Troward says our only purpose in life is what? To enjoy life. So that gives me, so there's my purpose. Now that's the treatment work. That's the creative process. That's how we use spirit, love, and law in that respect. Let's see, what else do I need to give you from this? Go to page 95. The first question, the big part of this that we get into, most of us get into trouble with, is something Matthew said earlier. The idea of my mind and the mind, and getting clear on how that works. My mind and the mind, the universal mind and the individual mind. So, Alan, when you're thinking, with whatever you're thinking, does it ever occur to you when you're thinking that you are thinking with, you are using universal mind, that you are the one thinker thinking?
When I'm conscious, I do, yes.
Okay, so what does that feel like? What's the difference between
It's
that?
much better.
Because
I can get the result that I want.
what does it feel like when you think from that place?
It feels good.
Does it feel bigger?
It feels more powerful.
Yes. Okay. So that's the only importance of understanding this. Most people can go through their whole life without ever knowing that, right? So why are we learning this? What's the point?
Yeah.
Why are we meeting on a Wednesday night when we could be watching Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton? Why are we meeting tonight to talk about this? Well, the most important part is the power that is in your mind.
Yeah.
And understanding this premise that in truth, this is just the individual, but the universal is what you're really thinking as. Not even thinking with, thinking as. How do you get there? Well, we did it at the top of the class. That was my intention. to take everyone to a much bigger. The first of my 5 questions is, why am I here? No, that can be, why am I here in this class? That's the microcosmic. Why am I here in this class? But it's also, why am I here on this planet? Or why am I here in this body? Why am I here in this relationship? Why am I here in this job? Why am I here in this neighborhood? Why did I end up in California? Why am I here in California? There's so many different why am I here's. And all of those can get in the way of the most important question, which is, why am I here? Meaning just in the bigger picture, in the bigger scheme of things. So that's the difference between the universal and the individual. Now, there's nothing wrong with the individual, thinking from the smallest part of yourself, from the more limited part of yourself, in essence, I guess. But it is, can we train ourselves? Here's a question, just like your question about love. Can we train ourselves to think? I can't even say all the time, most of the time, from the universal mind. To think from the universal mind. Yeah.
That was something that I was raised on, is to find your calling. And that's what I took that as, was, why am I here? In the whole grand scheme of things, not why am I in this body as Anthony to teach people or whatever, no, but why am I here as
purpose. What's the answer?
I don't know.
See, I don't think we need an answer. I think we need a question. I think we just need the questions, because the questions can drive us. Why am I here? It may be a different answer tomorrow than it is tonight.
The answer's gonna change.
Yeah, but if we think there's an answer, especially if we think there's the right answer.
Or that we're supposed to find the answer.
David Allen Cruz is here just to be a hypnotherapist. That's it. He found his purpose. He's done. So complete all of a sudden, yes. He was born to be a hypnotherapist and to meet David Ricardo. Lucky man in so many ways. So yeah, but that's not it. Because otherwise he wouldn't become a practitioner. He wouldn't then become a minister. He wouldn't then do whatever comes next. Because we think there's a purpose. There is no purpose. Right. The purpose is to live the question. Is to keep living the question, getting bigger and bigger and bigger answers. Just like our purpose is to live from the universal, not the individual. That's what they talk about in Buddhism when they talk about get away from all the stuff. You are not all of this. Shred it all, burn it all. Go back to that. So the more we understand about the universal, the more we should understand about the individual. Problem is, we spend most of our lives trying to figure out the individual because it's so much more interesting to us. Our little selves. But if we would just get rid of all that, that's what he's talking about, the floating nothingness, get out of the way and go back to who you really are. Which is why suddenly Joel Goldsmith's making sense to me in practicing the presence. For the first time in the 3 ministerial classes I've taught, or the practitioner class.
Yes, he is. And Thomas More too, because Thomas More is also saying, yes, that is good, universal, but this is also good.
Yeah, and it is.
You can do the relative.
Especially if you make the relative more like the universal.
Yeah.
That's when you live in the Christ consciousness. So, it's so funny. I said I like the soul the best, and we keep going back to spirit. Quite interesting. But what I'm really finding tonight, and I appreciate you all for this, for helping me to figure out this more, I'm really finding that I say I like the soul best, but I don't. It's actually, I like this the best. This, because it's one thing. It is one thing. Conscious, subconscious. So if we go right there right now, page 95. We think of the ether of mind as the universal subjectivity, or the soul of the universe. Anything that has ever been thought at any time in the history of man exists today in a subjective state in universal mind. When we get into the field of mind, there is no past, present, or future. They merge into one medium. You know how I talk about your, what?
I said it's the world wide web.
That's right. You know how I talk about your already established premise? Your already established premise is right here. That's what this is. It's because every thought, every idea, every belief is all existing right here. Now this is universal. I'm back in universal. Every thought, idea, belief that has ever been thought, believed, acted upon. The Holocaust is here. The Renaissance is here. Shakespeare is in here. Plato is in here. When the Christians were killing the Muslims is in here. That's the Crusades. And now the Muslims are killing the Christians. That's contemporary terrorism. It's all here. All of it's right here. And you and I, we are thinking from that place. Unless we think we're thinking very different things. We're not. Why do you think you're so affected by so much of what you see? Because this is who you are. You're all of this. So the question becomes, how do you use all of this? How do you use it? You have an already established premise based on all of this, and at any time that premise can change. For me, and I know I'm going a little bit off of this soul thing, for me, it's very important to find out what that already established premise is, and to keep checking, keep checking. I had something happen today, which I won't really talk about, but something happened in my life today that upset me. And when it upset me, and I felt that I was really upset, I was right in the middle of working in the webinar for Mental Muscle, and I was upset for about 10 minutes. And then I went, oh my God, I'm not even using this opportunity to find out why I'm upset. If I'm upset, it has to go back to some belief. I have to have some belief that allows this to upset me. And I got it like that in a second. I went, oh my God, I actually still have this belief. I believe blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't wait to go tell Kevin. And I ran into the living room and was like, honey, do you know what I just realized? Blah, 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 blah. He looked at me and went, awesome. No, he didn't. He was like, so?
Right.
I said, well, it's just, he says, are you still upset? I went, no, I'm not upset. I get it. I get it. That's not me. That core belief isn't me. Therefore, this thing that upset me doesn't need to upset me, and I can let it go along its way. Because the core belief, I don't want this core belief. Because I had another core belief that trumps it. Really does trump it.
How did they react?
Huh?
How did they react when you said that?
He was really busy. He was really tired of me going through my whole life story. but this
just
is how,
another day in the life.
Another day in the life.
That's why I was curious how you handled
Day in the life of being a minister's wife. Yes. So but this is how
that conscious mind trumps the
yes,
subjective
that's
mind.
how that trumps that core belief was in here.
Yeah.
In the seed of memory. And my already established premise of life, while it's my life unfolds perfectly, I realize that my premise is my life unfolds my life unfolds perfectly. But I have a couple little dollops of it unfolds perfectly, but sometimes it's really annoying. And sometimes people really blah, blah, blah.
Bad timing.
Yeah. So that's the way this whole concept works, love and love. So if this is the triune nature of being, then this is your ability to break down spirit and soul just to get to the point of understanding they're one thing. Make sense? And when we say the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, it's the same thing. It's the Father within me that doeth the work. Quoting so much Bible these days. I think it's because you came into class.
You play it to the audience.
I am, yeah. Playing to my left side of the So if that's the Father within me that doeth the work, meaning spirit, that creative energy that always does the work, right? And this is the Holy Spirit within me that puts light into everything, that lightens everything, shines the light in order for it to come forward. Think about that. When you turn the light on, oh, there it is. So it's the light. It's the same thing. There's the Spirit. I mean, there's the Holy Spirit. Soul, and of course, the body of Christ. Everything that shows up in you. So let's go to, you all good with soul now? Yes? So what are you going to say when someone says to you, oh, so you're a religious scientist, so what's the soul in your religion?
It's love.
No!
Well, I'm thinking of love and light as one thing. It's
okay, yeah, you
all
can.
one.
Well, if you're going to do it, you say it's love, it's law.
It's love.
I mean, that's the simplest way. What's the law? We're talking about the law of cause and effect. Soul is really that place where everything works out. It's the law. Right? So let's go to body. So why don't you do this one, Nancy Jo? What's the body? Based on everything you've read and
The body's the result.
of
It's
what?
the result. It's the result of what you're thinking and how you feel about it. On the whole big scheme of things, it's the result of the spirit's thoughts.
Wait, wait, spirits, thoughts?
The thought, okay. The creation. It's
You had
the
me at
result
result.
of creation.
What?
It's the result of whatever was created.
Yeah, that's pretty simple, isn't it? Sharon, what would you say? What's the body?
Well, we also say form, everything that's in form, but it could also be experience, it could be inanimate objects, it could be, finances, all of that is.
What is all that then?
That's all the form or
Of what?
the body of the universe we know.
Of what? If we're going to talk about the triune nature of spirit, what would body be? It is the result of
Love and law.
Of creation.
the result of creation. The result of creation.
And that's
the
what
result of that
Nancy
which is
Jo
created.
said, yeah.
Yeah, that's what said. Okay, so questions, because I'm not going to go into this whole. Let's go to cause and effect on 101. So where would effect be up there, spirits and body? Right? Effect. So effect is that which did not make itself, but must have a power back of it, causing it to be. All manifestation is body, effect, and is subject to its cause. So, in the few minutes I have left, so if we understand this, creative energy, the process, if you're going to use it, or the law from which everything comes, and the manifestation of that whole process.
So those two are the cause. Those two are the cause.
Cause is up here. The law that the
It's
cause
part of-
acts upon.
But it's part of
Well, because
the
it's really the
cause
same
and effect, yeah.
Yes.
One is-
But if you're going to really teach it, which you're going to have to teach it soon, if this is the cause, then this is that which processes the cause. And this is the manifestation from it. Or don't use process. This is the bridge. This is the bridge.
Well, because it's all the creative process.
Yes.
So it's all.
Well, this is the triune nature.
Right. So that's the transformation.
Now we're going to the creative process.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, another name for spirit is conscious mind. Now, let's just talk about mind. One mind. There are not two minds. There are two names to mind. Which are what?
Conscious mind and subjective.
Why is it called subjective?
It's subject to what comes in.
Exactly. That's as simple as that is. You got that, Garrett? It's subjective to. It is subject to whatever is put into it, whatever is acted upon it. Okay? So, conscious mind, subjective mind, and form. So, where does unconscious mind go?
Always conscious.
Right. So, is there unconscious mind anywhere?
No.
Well, if you look on your there it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where would unconscious mind be?
Subconscious mind.
Yes, it would be right here. Subconscious.
Subjective.
He calls it subjective. Sometimes he calls it subconscious, and then sometimes he even says unconscious.
So those are two different things, right?
Subconscious and unconscious.
No, subconscious and subjective.
He uses them interchangeably in here.
What do you? How do you feel about that? What do you?
I do, because this is my conscious mind, that what I'm aware of. This is my subconscious mind.
Right.
Which
what
is-
you're not aware of,
Right.
and the subject, but it's also the
It's
subject.
also the subjective mind, meaning it's subject to whatever I put into it.
So it's both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he uses them interchangeably.
Okay.
And it's also unconscious mind. You know why? I'm not conscious of all this shit. It's just
Until you are.
I love that. I'm not conscious of this stuff until I am. Until somehow I've pulled it up. You do that. David, pull something up right now into your mind.
Fire.
What fire?
Fire in the hills. I live in a hilly area. That's
Because you just moved into a
just moved into a house. Now I have to start thinking in terms of.
Okay. So I want you all to pull up, we did this last night. Pull up the earliest memory you can think of.
Got it.
What is it, Archie?
Unfortunately for me, it's circumcision.
Oh, you remember your circumcision? How old were you?
Probably 2 or 3.
They did that at 2 or 3?
I'm telling you, man. I can say
I can
it.
still
I can tell
feel
you
it.
about it. I can tell you.
I'm feeling it, and I wasn't even there. So there you go. There it is right there. So what Archie just did,
That was brutal.
he just pulled that up here into conscious mode.
Now,
He
was
just
that
snipped that right up.
Was that
So
an
let me
act-
tell you about it. Not today.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Was that an act of volition,
Yes.
or was it the result of volition? Because the instruction was pull up a memory, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a specific memory, and I don't know that he said, "Oh, I'm going to choose a specific memory."
No, he chose to follow a directive.
I was
Right.
like, he did what we didn't do.
He
We
chose, yeah,
just
really.
think of it.
He chose to follow a direction, and then his mind, and then he asked his mind, what's farthest back I can remember? But it came, where did it come from? Because it's all in here.
Yeah, it's all there. That's no argument. I'm just wondering. I'm wondering.
Was it volition? Was
how
it a choice for that to come
How
out?
to become that particular memory? What was that process? The volition was finding the memory, bringing it up.
Yes, right.
But how did it become?
How did that memory be the one that came up?
Right.
I don't really know that answer.
Memories are cool.
Other than I would say that we don't use our minds enough to actually be facile enough.
I agree with that.
People do.
What does that mean?
Isn't it because he didn't process it?
Sharp enough, smart enough, quick enough.
Isn't it because he didn't, it was never processed, so it was just left there
No,
as?
he's processed it. I bet he's processed it a lot.
No, but got rid of, I mean, not got rid of it, but kind of like changed the belief of that.
It's a memory he won't forget.
Yeah.
Like I have a memory
Yes,
I didn't bring
absolutely.
up last night. I have a memory of my parents. Now I had to be 2 years old because they moved out of this apartment. I remember the apartment in my parents' house, being in a crib. I remember being taken out of the crib and sitting in the kitchen watching my older brother, because he was like 4, with my dad and some other cop, building this erector set. Remember those old erector sets? And they built this skyscraper. And I loved that this was built. Went to bed that night, came back the next morning, it was gone. Gone. They took it apart, put it back in the box. And I was livid. And I remember just thinking, why would you do that? Why would you take this apart? We just made it. No, I couldn't even speak at the time. I didn't have the verbs at the time. But I can still go back and remember my disappointment that things can be taken apart. Things can be broken down, you know? So these are things, they're all in here. There they are. And they're all there at all times. So little exercises like, what's the earliest memory? What's your earliest memory? Wasn't that long
Thinking
ago?
of that. Nice one.
I
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I'm 19.
The earliest memory I have is tied between, I have a really early memory of my mom when she had these big round, it was before her eye surgery. She was really thin, like really thin, with this big brown curly hair and these like really thick glasses. And I remember looking up at her. There's that memory, and then there's either that one or there's one of me. I had a dream when I was in preschool. All the kids were like riding 3-wheeler bikes, and some kids that were older than me were riding 2-wheeler bikes. And I remember having a dream. I must have been like 2 years old. I had a dream that I was riding the 2-wheeler bike. So the next day I went to preschool and I got on the 2-wheeler bike thinking with no fear in my head, like, oh, I can tell, like I did it in my dream. I did it in my dream. I can do it in real life, right? It's the same exact thing. And I get on the bike and I ate shit. And like I was totally taken back by like, oh my goodness, like I thought I could do this. So, like I did this in my dream. So it's either it's like tied between those.
But you didn't say you could fly.
Right.
No, let's just jump. Okay, so you all get this. There's the seed of memory. I don't think any of you are ever going to forget it now. But this is the seed of memory. And Sharon's right, as she always is. The undifferentiated substance basically is all of this stuff in here that you choose from. Everything that we're choosing from, everything that we're picking from has been already thought, already created. It's all there. So we just get to pull out of it. Any questions? Spirit, soul, body. Good? Yeah. Hey, what a rollicking time you've just given me. And I have to be honest, I kept thinking earlier today, I was like, I should call off this class tonight because everyone's going to want to be at the, Peggy's still there? You still there, Peggy? Okay.
If not the debate, then the Dodger game.
Was there a Dodger game tonight? Because I wouldn't know about that. Okay, so.
It's a big one, John.
Yes.
Now, if Gina Rivera were at the Pantages, I would know that. So next week, you're going to read Man's Relationship to the Spiritual Universe. It's like 22 pages, page 106 to 128. Did you bring your salient points tonight? No, I didn't ask you to, I don't think, for this week.
Just.
Okay, but next week, I would like you to bring salient points in. What that means, if you have, what I want you to do is bring in your salient point, and then I will do the chapter that way. Sometimes I like to do it my way. Sometimes I like to just take your salient points, find out what they are, and talk through the chapter.
Are we writing now?
Write them out.
That's what you said to do last week, actually.
For tonight, for today.
I have raised.
Okay.
Oh.
So can I get them then? Did you all write them out? You just had them ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I said an email.
106 to.
Okay, you know what? This is good. Still a second.
106 to 128.
So he wrote the personalness of God. We should be very careful in abstracting the principle, not to forget the essence of God. There is something in the human mind that desires to think of God as spirit or person. And I think we kind of covered that in the idea of trying to get from an old version of what spirit meant to us to what it means now. But I will say that one of the things that I miss from my Catholicism is I think about myself as that little 7-year-old boy carrying a missal and going every morning to 7 o'clock mass before school, believe it or not. And I just loved going and sitting in church. I still love sitting in churches because I feel such a deep connection, not to something outside of myself, but to myself. And that's the thing. If we can really embrace this idea of spirit as who I am, then when you go into a church, you just get a closer feeling of who you are. And then when you go and you sit on a mountaintop, you get into you commune with yourself. So he's right, and I'm glad you brought that up, actually, Ray. The whole idea of not losing the spirit part of Signs of Mind and Spirit. Matthew?
Ernest Holmes says in the very last sentence of Spirit that spiritual evolution should make the infinite not more distant but more intimate.
Yeah.
And that's the same sort of feeling I guess you get when you're like in a church.
Yeah.
It sort of brings you into that.
And should make us more aware that this is where God is. Right here. So. All right, so you all know what you're doing for next week?
Oh, I do have a question. In your emails, you were saying you'll be in your new office on the 26th, next Wednesday. Are we meeting there or here?
We're meeting here.
Okay.
Next week's our last.
Do you want everyone to
Unless
also
I'm in, and then I may tell you all to meet me in the new office.
not only bring in a salient point, but their arrival short
Yes.
essay on
Yeah,
what
just
how it
tell me what you
affects
think
them.
about that
Yeah,
salient
what they
point.
think about.
Yes. Who has their salient point written up? Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have it? Okay. Peggy, if you have it, email it to me. It just helps me know where your heads are.
I could
God knows,
email
they could be
you. I
anywhere.
could email you.
Email it to me. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Archie, do you know how to treat yet?
No, I'm getting closer though, but.
You want to try it? You want to close this out? All right. I'm up here with you. I'll help you.
Thank you so much for that. This is what I came here for. So.
I'll read you the 5 steps as we move through.
So just from what I know is, we can just all take a moment and take a breath and just get quiet and centered. And you know, just take a minute and just relax and just be in this space that we're here with everybody in this room, and I just want to take a moment to just know that everything that has, you know, come together in this room, all of us coming into this room, I know that, you know, we've been brought together by that one spirit, that one power, that one knowingness that you know, that I am, and I just know that it is the same spirit that all of you are, and it's just a, you know, beautiful place that you know that we've come to come together in. And what I know is, you know, we've had an incredible class tonight. You know, we continue to grow. We continue to manifest. We continue to become more of who we are. We continue to become God. We continue to embrace I am God. And because we continue to embrace that, all things that we are, all the things that we want to be will just continue to show up. And as we go out, we take what we've learned tonight and we implement it. We show up as it. We show up as God in everything that we do and everyone that we talk to. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to be in this class. And you know, I'm grateful for Reverend James and what I continue to get from just being around him and learning from him. And so I'm just daily in a place of gratitude. And I know each and every one of you are in this same place of gratitude. And so I just let that go, and I just remember that, and I just get out of the way of that as we get out and go out into this world, and we claim it, and we just let it be, and we all together say, and so it is.
Right?
That was great.
I tell you, kept saying
that was great.
You good? You wasn't expecting to do that, were you?
Good job.
Well, I'm not letting you take over the church, but it's good. You did a great job. And I love that you kept saying you know. Because even though you're saying you know, it's true. Like you know. You do know.
Yeah, right.
Okay, he's good.
Yay!
Okay. There you go, Archie. Step one. First step.
Archie hit all the elements.
Yes, you did.
You did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
All five.
Yes, record. Bye, Peggy. Okay.